Well, I want to put out this video. Probably, you know, millennials are probably going to hammer me on this anyway, but I'm going to give you some things. Now, I had this Suzuki SJ413. It's a Jimny 1300 for about 30 years now. It's an 85 model. It's the same as the Samurai, but it's 3.5 inches more narrow, so it's really gets in tight places, but you got to kind of watch on road because it's skinnier than the Samurai. Now, I'm going to bring up one important point right in the beginning here. What I think in the future, you know how Google Cars is going with you're going to have pre-programmed cars and all this kind of garbage. I think that's going to start getting to be standard features on a lot of cars in the 2020s. And when you're out on a trail, they might have it so your vehicle can only work on designated trails with all the ecological wildlife management garbage. And I think that's a feature. I think right now, even though these cars today got all this stuff on them and complexities with the body control module, the computerized engine management and a transmission control module, and a lot of different things that are expensive, even with simple items like lighting, which can incorporate heating elements and stuff on the lights, or mirrors that include heating elements and backup cameras and junk. That's going to look simple compared to the future. But when you buy something, look at an eye for repairing it, because like this thing's a 99 Sebring, right? And even this gets more complicated refixing it, because it's an optioned out one, but I've had this thing apart with many things I've done on it. But you want to look at something with the eye of repairing it. Now, this Suzuki Samurai thing, that's basically what this is. It's a Jimny 1300. Very easy to fix. That's probably why there's still like a cult following for them. And they're about the same size as the old Willys Jeep, which makes them pretty damn off-road worthy. Now, if I got a Jeep, though, I would probably get a 4-cylinder in it, or 6-cylinder max. I would not get a V8. I would not get a new one. And one thing I was thinking, I probably might get an old truck or a Jeep, but I'm talking old, like 60s or 70s. You want something where the shifter goes in there manually. Like this has on a transfer case where it goes into four-wheel drive and low range on the same shifter. A lot of Jeeps, the older ones, have it whereby, and obviously this is a right-hand drive, it's a Japanese model. A lot of them have it where you got a separate, on the old ones, a separate shift lever to go into four-wheel drive and a separate shift lever to go into low range. You also want a standard transmission. I know the automatics are good and all this crap. I know that, and a lot of times when you're driving out on even in snow, it's easier to get the hell out of snow or mud with an automatic. But it's a lot easier to fix, a regular standard transmission. A lot of times. There's a lot less complexity. Also, you don't have to worry about issues where it's overheating the transmission. Like an automatic, if you're sitting and idling or you're pulling really low, I know you can put a transmission cooler on it stuff, but you're not going to have, like, say you're going like 10 miles an hour and you got a load on it. If you're doing that with a manual transmission, the fluid's not going to get overly hot. With an automatic, yeah, it probably could, because you're going 10 miles an hour, and I guess you could change your fluid, but it's a little more work to freaking drive a manual, but it's not a big deal. Actually, somebody commented, they don't know how to drive a manual. I remember back when it was like in 1972, I learned on a manual, and I took the damn car out. In 1 o'clock in the morning, I was driving around the neighborhood from between 1 o'clock and 3 o'clock in the morning a bunch of times, pissed off some neighbors, of course, but nobody was around. I was starting out on the hill. That's how I learned, But it's like you learned it pretty quick, man. Once you got the hang of it, you got it pretty quick. This thing's got manual steering on it. That's not a bad thing. Also want to say that one of the biggest upgrades you can get for any of these old vehicles is the tires. It doesn't have to be big tires. It's just the proper size tires. Even these Firestone Winter Forest tires are not bad all-around off-road tires. Cooper ATs are good. Another thing, you know, the lunchbox locker, they call it the lunchbox locker, the ratchet, I don't know if they call it a ratchet type locker. I put this in myself, and you know, you just change out the spider gears in the back, and usually they're pretty damn easy to do. I know the ARB, you know, air lockers and all these other things, they can be really good, but it's more complexity and more money. Yeah, the ARB lockers, you know, the air lockers are stronger than the lunchbox lockers, but if you just get a standard Jeep with open diffs, you just put a airlock, a regular lunchbox type locker, you know, Lock-Right locker in the back, it's going to be very, very, very four-wheel drive worthy, off-road worthy. Yeah, it's going to be four-wheel drive. It's going to be off-road worthy, very much so, with that, and just the right tires. They don't need to be big tires. They got to be the right tires. You know, all these other features with, you know, where you have the tire pressure warning signals, the tire pressure on your dashboard. Yeah, it's nice to have, but there's a lot of complexities involved. And you got to, when I always buy something, this is why I'll never buy a new car. I always look at it like, I remember even when I bought my 1981 Dodge W150 four-wheel drive truck, first thing I bought was the damn dealer service manual, and I was like, holy crap, that 81 looked pretty complicated compared to what was out 10 years earlier. So this thing is like a Model T. It even has the differentials in it that are like the pumpkin style differentials, where you just pull out the axles and the whole differential comes out. You can change the whole pumpkin. You don't need a case spreader and to set it up with the side bearings and all this kind of stuff with the preload and all this crap. Nope, it's got a pumpkin type differential, so that makes it a lot easier to change that type of stuff out. The other thing is, when the more you upgrade on I know there's a lot of gimmicks out there, man. This is where four-wheel drives get expensive. You notice this thing is really stock. It's got, the tires are slightly oversized, and it's got a locker. That's it. This thing goes pretty damn good off-road, man, believe it or not. It goes good in mud and snow and sand. I'm in Florida, but I had it up in snow in New Jersey, northwest New Jersey, in storms where they had like a double blizzard in a couple days. It was like a 3-day period. It was in 1996. In January, and there was like over 3 feet of snow, and this bad boy was plowing with that front bumper. The other thing is, you know, as far as like options, you don't really need a lot of options on these things. And if you don't like the seats in a four-wheel drive, it's pretty easy to just go down at some, you know, scrapyard or some crap, or buy them on eBay and get some seats and bolt them in there. I know you're probably going to have to make the brackets and stuff, but even if you get a really old Jeep that has really, really crappy seats in it, like I remember when this thing came out, this was like luxury for a four-wheel drive, man, in '85. This dash was luxury. You know, this seat was, I don't know, so what, this is like a cover that was on here. It was like a bucket seat with a headrest. You know, not that many years earlier, it was just like a little square pad with no headrest, and not that many years, it just had a 5-speed. This has a 5-speed in it, so with an overdrive, which is really big difference. That was considered a big luxury back then, but that's pretty much all you need. The only thing, now this vehicle itself, I would think the ultimate 4x4 would be one of these Samurais that's with the extended body. That's with the Alcoa aluminum body that's made in Canada with a 1.6 liter diesel, Volkswagen diesel. Then you can run, you know, freaking vegetable oil on it and all that kind of crap. Get about 40-something miles to the gallon and everything. And it wouldn't flip over that easy with the long wheelbase. Now, obviously, I never flipped this thing, but I tell you what, it is a little. This one is not a Samurai though. This one is about, it is 3.5 inches more narrow, the track, not the body, the track, than a Samurai, because it's an SJ413. It's the year before. It's a Jimny 1300 Asian model. The side curtains are rare because that's a factory option. But you know, I would not buy a new Jeep, period. Anything brand new. Now, obviously, if you're going to buy a new Jeep, you probably got money. But then again, maybe you don't have money, you're going to buy it on time, and that's crazy. Probably the best thing is just to go very conservative, especially somebody didn't option it out or off-roaded it much. And some people buy Jeep. This one's basically been driven on the road a lot, and this was I'd say for about good 10 years, well, I would say roughly about 10 years out of the 30 years I've owned this was my main everyday vehicle. Now, the one thing was it was kind of cold in the winter because, well, I had the soft top on it back then, but you know, air would come up under here, and I used to put something in here, some felt to kind of block the air. It was cold when it got up to about 50 miles an hour or so, or 40 even, and it's always hot in the summer, you know. But I'd say probably the only option that's really worth its crap on it, four-wheel drive, is the air conditioning. And a hardtop, because you got security for your stuff. Because I got stuff in here like with got stuff all back in here, man. Well, it's all in here. I got it in here because it's hidden. But yeah, I got tools and yeah, tire chains even and stuff. There's a ratchet puller, right? There's I think this is yeah, it's jumper cables, but there's other stuff in there too, man. There's like a whole bunch of shit. So but you got to think about this is for peeing in. You get stuck somewhere, man. You're on a highway, traffic, that works, man. But you know, people don't think they can be pretty practical. I know Jeep stands for, this is not a Jeep, I know it's a Suzuki, it's basically a copy of a Willys. SJ this is an SJ 413. What they mean by SJ is Suzuki Jeep, believe it or not. That's what Suzuki meant by when it's called the SJ 413. The 410, the SJ 410 was four-wheel drive, 10 being 1 liter. This is an SJ 413. The SJ being Suzuki Jeep again, 4 being four-wheel drive, and the 13 being 1.3 liter. You know, it is a Samurai basically. It's got the same engine, trans, same differential, just a little different gear ratio, and its axle tracking is more narrow. So, but you know, getting away from the electronics in the Jeep is a damn good thing. I know, like, I see these videos on YouTube where this jerk is, I call it a jerk. I mean, this guy's like talking about, I got this traction control, hill control descent button I hit, and he hits it on the dash. Now I got freaking snowy conditions, you know, I hit that button. And any four-wheel drive, in my opinion, you want part-time four-wheel drive. You do not want all-wheel drive. You do not want any, and the only one that makes all-wheel drive that's worth a crap is Subaru, in my opinion. Subaru actually got their crap together because in Japan, in northern Japan, they get loads of snow, and those damn things roll through the snow. But that's not really an off-road vehicle. Something like this actually would be, or any Jeep, you know, or Toyota truck. But Toyota actually makes some good shit. I'm not a fan of Japanese stuff, but I got to be a kind of a fan of Japanese stuff after I owned this thing a while, because I didn't even really want to buy this when I bought it, and I just got it, and I figured I'd get a Jeep later. But then after a while it grew on me, and I said, man, this stupid thing actually freaking does a lot more crap than I thought. And they actually seen it do some stuff the Jeeps couldn't do. So I kept it. Runs pretty cheap on gas too, that's another thing. A regular older Jeep probably gets about 12 miles a gallon or something. I think you get a four cylinder, you might get about 20. You know, but this will get about 25 or so. So it's pretty good. But as far as, you know, going too much on the upgrades, that's where four-wheel drives really cost you the most money. As long as you don't really go too crazy on the upgrades, you don't get in this endless cycle, because when you make the tires too big, well, first off, you got to do a lift, and then your steering geometry might change. Then you're straining your axles. Then if you upgrade your axles or your differentials or whatever, then your transfer case is the weak point. Usually, the damn thing is all designed to work together pretty well. So if you leave it pretty much stock, you're okay. The only thing I saw is I like the Lock-Right locker in the rear because it's cheap to put in, and it is stronger than the Spider gears. It's not as strong as the air locker, but it's stronger than the Spider gears, and you got a lot more traction. You really don't need them in the front that much. And if you did put one in the front, if you're driving around in snow, you would want to have one of the hubs unlocked. Oh, that's another thing. You don't want automatic locking hubs like they got on a lot of stuff. That's what I'm saying. The old ones actually are better. Because think about, maybe you're thinking about even getting a 2003. Think about all the stuff that you'd have to do to repair even a 2003, Jeep, right? Whatever, it's not a Jeep, but what I'm talking about. You think about a 78. 78 is going to be a freaking way less bullshit. That's how I think. Now, I might get a 66 Chevy truck to replace that damn thing, step side short bed, just put a rear locker in it, not a four-wheel drive, with a straight 6 and a 3 and a tree. I might do that later. But that's how I think. I think real simple. But this thing, the proof is this. I've had this for 30 years. This got way over 200,000 miles on it, and it's got the original original engine in it. It's got new bearings in the trans and rebuilt kit in the trans and transfer case. It's got new axle bearings in the back. That's about it. I mean, a lot of stuff is just minor stuff. The same damn engine. Tommy belt's been changed a bunch of times. That's about it. You're not gonna get away with that with these new things. You'll be spending more money on even rebuilt components like transmission control modules, sensors. You can't get rebuilt sensors, but a lot of shit that can go wrong. And even everything on the new stuff is absolutely ridiculous. And then if you find it's too much to repair, you're going to have to buy something new again. And you know what? That's, like I said right from the beginning, they're probably, by the time you say you bought a 2017 4x4, and 10 years down the road you decide, oh, I'm going to get rid of the damn thing because it's getting too many miles on it or some crap, and you don't know how to fix it that well, the serious stuff. Well, you know what's going to happen? By that time, you're going to have pre-programmed 4x4s. And it'll be going out on the trail, and the thing's going to tell you can't go here, you can't go there, you can't do this, you can't go that. Who the hell needs that shit? They're going to control your ass, man. So keeping it simple and keeping as little computer crap on stuff actually has a lot of advantages. And besides the maintenance advantages. I hate the four-wheel drive button that they got, and the four-wheel load button they got, and the traction control button they got on the dash. I hate that shit. I hate that crap. Okay, the stupid things, locker, in the back. That could be a little squirrely. Oh, the one thing I do with the locker in the back of this, the ratcheting lockers, it behaves a lot better, is use Royal Purple oil. Royal Purple or, what the hell's that other crap? Redline. Performance gear oil. The locker isn't squirrely. You don't really want, if you use them in the front and if you're in snow, you gotta really want to unlock one of the hubs, or else you're going to find a ditch. Because if you break traction on both wheels while you're driving, with a locker in the front and ice or snow, even just plain snow, it's going to be like you're going to lose your steering, man. That's how it works. So I mean, you don't really need one in the front, because the back has most of the weight. In most situations, if you're going up something, the weight is going to be transferred to the back, and then most of the back weight is going to be on the rear wheels. So you want the locker in the rear. And then also when you're in two-wheel drive, you got the locker working all the time. I know it clicks. I mean, it doesn't bother me, So I guess the only thing in here the only thing I find is air conditioning, but that's because I'm in north central Florida. I mean, it's like freaking damn hot. But I was driving this, I put about 100 something miles on this bitch Sunday in the middle of August, or beginning of August 2017. And it was only hot when it was stopping. But, you know, anyway, I like this thing though. It's pretty cool. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. And I'll probably have it for forever, man. I've had it for 30 years. I've had that thing since 1991, that old El Camino 350 Posi 4-speed. I had that a long time. So, you know, I had that for 26 years or something. So, anyway, that's my advice on that shit. Just keep it simple, stupid. You can get an older Jeep, and you can use it every freaking day with no problem. That's a fact. That's a fact. The only reason I use this car sometimes on more distance is because it gets like 30 something miles a gallon. You know, but I'm probably going to replace this with a straight six, 3 on a tree, Chevy 1966 step side, and I'll figure out a way to get some mileage out of that damn thing. I don't like that. That thing's got too much complexity to it.